BoneYard. Enter at your own risk.
decided to pursue a career in law because it gives me an opportunity to help people. When a client chooses us to represent them, they're entrusting us with a huge responsibility. It's our goal to exceed their expectations with our personalized service and to help them to achieve the best possible recovery to compensate them for their injuries.
That's where we come in. We come in and we solve that problem for them and really set them on the right track in order to try and get back to what their life was like before the accident happened.
Oh. Good. All right. Well, that took a minute to get going, but we're here. Hey, everybody. What's going on here? I'm hearing some reverb here. Somebody's got their phone or the phone or the TV turned up. If you could turn it down. Get a little feedback there. A little reverb. Dennis. Here, got it. Okay, cool. Good to go. Hey, oh, that's Grizz. Okay, I was wondering who. So listen, everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. We're here at the Big BoneYard. So if you jumped on your motorcycle and you decided to ride on through to check us out at the Big BoneYard, we appreciate it. We're gonna have a hell of a great show tonight, and thanks for joining. I'm seeing DeWitt, aka Grizz. Grizz is in the house. Soldier, what's up, man? Tommy Manic. Oh, that's Aztec. Okay, all right. Okay, so everybody's in here. But anyway, we're going to have a pretty good show tonight. And so let me do this because we've got a few folks here joining us tonight. Get this straight out of the way, as my brother would say. We got a lot of great folks here. We're going to introduce everybody here in just a second. But I want to make it clear we do a disclaimer every single week. And the disclaimer basically is this, which is the gospel, as they say. Every one of us has all kinds of opinions about all kinds of different stuff. We just want to make it very clear that the conversations that we're going to have, the words that we're going to say, these are our opinions only. They do not reflect that of our respective clubs or our organizations, which we love every one of them. But these are our words. They are not reflective of our MC, our club, our organization in any fashion whatsoever. So that's that. But moving on with that. So here's what we got going on. Of course, I'm your host, Big Bone 1%er, and thank you very much for joining us. Hold on, let me had to hit the button. Along with that, we got my man Tate from A-Bay. Tate, what's up, man?
Blood pressure and cholesterol. A bunch of busy shit at the campground this weekend.
Yo, how was it though? How was it? It was Leesburg Bike Fest, right?
So from what I heard, downtown Leesburg was a little sketchy. A lot of diamonds from a lot of different areas that aren't usually in our neck of the woods. Mm-hmm. My wife went down there, wasn't very impressed. I don't think they were down there very long. A group of guys from the fucking campground and their old ladies went down there. They were down there maybe half an hour and were like, nope, we're good. The vibe was really weird. And they're like, it felt like shit was going to pop off. But
allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Nothing happened that I know of. Great weekend, except for fucking cops pulling people over. I don't know if everybody's seen the Facebook post, but don't fucking speed in Fruitland Park. You will get pulled the fuck over.
So what I heard you say was it was a normal weekend at a biker rally. That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, that's
In
exactly
Florida.
what I said. I mean, you know, a lot of these folks ain't from Florida. They don't know how it gets down here, but the cops don't leave you the fuck alone.
Yeah, I hear you. That's the thing. Along with that, we wanted to take this opportunity to thank for joining us. Doggone, we got Dennis, aka Kickstand, who is the illustrious secretary from. You wear a few different hats, kind of like me. Dennis K, aka Kickstand, is the secretary of the BoneYard chapter of ABATE in Pasco County, but he's also the president of Elks Riders in Hudson, Florida, right? In Hudson, right?
That's it. Elks Riders 2520, Denton Avenue, Hudson, Florida.
Right on, right on. You guys have a lot of stuff going on. So well, actually, you were in Leesburg this weekend too, right?
Yes, I was. Yes, I was. I meant to get over to see Tate, but I couldn't make it.
But is it true what you said about Tate being funny looking and you don't like him very much?
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's true. Okay, that's what they said. I saw it on Facebook. I saw it on. I was watching Oprah. They talked about that on Oprah the other day.
Right.
So that's
Go figure, man. Hey, if Oprah's talking about me, I want my royalty check.
Right on, right on. We got a lot of folks joining us here in Miami. Hey, Miami, ¿cómo está, mamita? That's the old lady. She's watching, making sure.
Stop kissing ass.
I know, right? You saw that, right? Making sure I'm not acting up. So, doggone Slider, my old lady just jumped in there, Miami. So I got like she's she's watching me. Got her eyeball on me. Black Dragon from Black Dragon Biker TV, Biker News, Man, you do it better than me. Black Dragon, welcome to the Big BoneYard, and thanks for coming on board tonight, sir.
Man, I really appreciate it, man. Glad to be on the show. Black Dragon Biker TV, Black Dragon Biker News Network, Biker News you can trust. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me on tonight.
That's better than Walter Cronkite, the way you Biker News you can trust. I dig that. And listen, the man of the hour, the golden hour, as it were, which that's going to make sense for anybody who was reading the description earlier who didn't really get what that was. The golden hour, which Slider Gilmore, Slider 1%er from SOS, is joining us here from the Mighty Sons of Silence. Sir, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here tonight.
Well, thank you for having me. I think I have a lot of good stuff to share. I'm very happy to be here.
Right on, brother. And and I think I've heard all of so for you. And I'm putting the cart before the horse, as they say. But Slider has educated a lot of folks all across the country for a long time. And for those of us that have not previously had the benefit of hearing some of the things that Slider has to share with us about the golden hour, this is going to be a great time for you. But having said that, so what we wanted to get into, just because it's come up an awful lot through conversation, we have there's a lot of folks that follow us, myself and Black Dragon, who are from not just United States, but in Canada and overseas. We have a number of folks in Europe and the Middle East that follow us, including Israel and Palestine and some of these other places. And as a result of a lot of things that are going on over there, we've heard back from some of those folks who have an opinion about our opinions that we share. So we wanted to take an opportunity to just kind of, highlight what we think about those great members or great followers. And a lot of these folks are members of motorcycle clubs. So, hey, we hear you, we see you, we know that y'all are going through it. And just little old us over here in the United States, man, we wish everybody well and hope that everything you're going through works out favorably as well as it can be for everybody. But having said that, just to kind of recap, we know last year, and this is a semi-biker related, because when there was an attack that happened from Hamas on what they call the kibbutz, that's like a small village, if you will. But Hamas attacked a kibbutz on the was it March the 7th? I think it was last year. But when they attacked this kibbutz, there was a lot of information that came out about what happened. But what we do know is a lot of people died, and Hamas attacked these Israeli kibbutz who wasn't bothering nobody in the whole wide world. And that kicked off this war that's been going on in the Middle East right now. and those folks responded, and they've been responding. It's been going back and forth for quite some time. The reason that, again, it's of any concern for us at all is because there's a certain club over there who has a lot of members who they follow us. They watch their motorcycle clubs. There's a lot of them in Israel and throughout the Middle East, and they follow us. And I got a photograph, ironically enough, before this happened, the whole club outside the clubhouse, they're standing next to their motorcycles, just like, hey, what's up? Here's our club picture. Well, about a week and a half after that attack happened to that first kibbutz, I got another picture. It's the same guys standing in front of their motorcycles, except for now every one of them is in a uniform. And so they took, and I actually made a post about this saying that they have a whole different idea about what biker wars mean. You know, them fellas been getting it in, like for real. Like it's not Call of Duty video games for these guys. This is their real life. But having said that, Black Dragon, what say you? What's your take on this whole thing?
You know, there's this reporter over in Europe called Piers Morgan. Is that his name?
Yeah, Piers Morgan.
And for a while, he had a show here in the United States. And one thing that used to just really get on my ass was when he would start talking about American United States politics, and he didn't live over here. And you know, he would really catch flack over it, especially, you know, his politics being so different than many of us over here. You kind of got the idea he was trying to come over here and tell us what to do. And I hated that he did that. And eventually his show got run up out of here because of a lot of stances he took. I think that no matter what it is, if you're in public life, like we are, and many of us have had no training. We just started a YouTube channel, and now it's got hundreds of thousands of followers from all over the world. And you can sometimes say stuff that's either insensitive, uninformed, stupid, or wrong, or all of the above. And so I try. And so I hate to have actually fallen into that category that I promised myself I would never fall into. So I think that war is hell. I've been in my share of conflicts as a person in the military, and I've been in my share of conflicts as a person that came from the neighborhood back home. So I'm a guy who carries 4 bullet holes in me. So I absolutely understand that war is hell. And I think that what's going on over there is absolute hell. And so, you know, earlier tonight you called me and we talked about something that I said on my show a couple days ago. And I didn't mean to say it like that. I was actually trying to talk about something else and conflated a whole lot of things together. And I said the word genocide, and I didn't understand when I said that how many people I'd actually pissed off. I didn't understand that. It's funny what you say, and words mean a whole lot of things. When I was a national president, you could say one thing and change somebody's life. It's crazy. You can say something depending on what position you're in. You could say something and make somebody else go commit suicide. Like it's really interesting that somebody went and stood in front of President Trump's trial and caught themselves on fire.
Yeah, that was nuts. Yeah.
What the hell did somebody say? What was done that would make somebody do that? So you have to be careful in what you say. And so I said some things that were probably insensitive, ill-informed, maybe even downright ignorant, as I was trying to make some points about something that was totally different, which was that TikTok got banned. So I think at the beginning of that war on October 6th, was it? This latest iteration of it, I think I might have said something like, if someone had done that to my kids, for every one person that was killed, I would kill 10,000. I think I actually said that on the channel. I was that angry at the things that I saw. And then I started thinking, well, man, maybe it's time to stop. There's a whole lot of people getting killed. And so I think I kind of reversed myself. Like, maybe, you get this Genghis Khan sort of attitude towards things. And as long as you're sitting in the armchair, when you're sitting in the armchair, second guessing and quarterbacking from over here, where everything is just fine, like the traffic is driving and the winds are calm and the seas are calm, and nobody has destroyed my village. Like, I don't think that's happened in America since the Civil War. Nobody destroyed our villages. Nobody's kicked in our our bomb shelters. In fact, I don't have a bomb shelter. I got a tornado shelter. I don't have a bomb shelter. Do any of you guys have a bomb shelter? Because I certainly don't have one.
I used to have safe rooms and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! I got a bomb shelter right now. I mean, doesn't everybody? What the fuck?
Oh, by the way, so the date that I was struggling with was October the 7th. I don't know why I said March. It was October the 7th.
Yes.
But so I guess in a nutshell, and thanks for kind of clearing that up a little bit.
So I used the word genocide. I said something like Israel's doing genocide in that video that I was in. And I didn't, that's not the wording I meant to say.
Right.
I don't know if you can take back things. I mean, sometimes when you say stuff, it sticks with you forever.
Right.
Especially if you're in the public eye. I don't know if you can take back things or say you're sorry, or if that even means anything. You're supposed to know better than to say certain things. Like there's certain stuff I just don't even get into. Like, I don't talk about, certain, protected classes of people and stuff that we have here in the United States. I just try not to even talk about it, because there's nothing that you're going to say that's going to be particularly understood properly. So, yeah.
Dragon, interject if I may.
Yeah.
I've been following you for years. We've been talking for years. Actually, you're how I found Bone. Great times over the years. There's been times where you've said shit in the past, and you'll go back in the next podcast or something, be like, all right, so this is what I meant. And you've had the same followers for years. Maybe you piss people off, but the people that know you and know your content, know the content of your person, they're still going to follow you, because they know if you feel some type of way about something you said, the next time you're making a video, you're going to address it. Hell, I mean, I watched a podcast where you walk up on some fucking elementary school in the middle of the day on a walk. So
I remember that. Yeah, you've been watching for a long time.
Yeah.
That was almost 10 years ago. Yes.
So,
yeah.
Dragon, I guess if I could put it in a nutshell, really what you're trying to say is that you hate TikTok and you want that shit shut down.
So I was making a video about TikTok and $7 billion. And so in America right now, I'm a veteran. I've been shot 4 times, PTSD, high blood pressure, diabetes. I got 1 working kidney, all this stuff. And many of my veteran brothers cannot get services. Like, I just had a brother who's trying to get seen for his night sweats PTSD. He was a medic in Iraq, and the stuff he talks about seeing is horrible. They're not going to be able to get him a examination for a CPAP machine until September.
Oh,
until September, because there's no money. And so I have found out that recently that, the border crisis that we're having, that the VA is being used to take care of some of those people's health concerns.
Fuck
You,
that.
you can't be serious. Not the VA. So the VA is being used. My Veterans Administration that I'm supposed to be. I can't. My buddy cannot get seen until September for something that could cause him to fall asleep and die and never wake up. And you're giving my health care to a guy in that just crossed the border illegally, and you're at the same time sending $9 billion to the Ukraine, to what was the other place? Singapore or something, and
Thailand.
And Israel, and then I was going on this rant, and I said, well, they're over there committing genocide, and I just didn't mean it like that. And so and all that tied in with, and the fact that TikTok is being banned and the government's taking away our right to speak. Man, I was on what we call being on one. I was on one.
Right on.
And I think I hurt some people with that. And I don't think I hurt some people. I know I did. And that wasn't my intention. But I do think it's time to stop dropping some of them bombs. I think I think that it's, but it's like Pierce Morgan. Who cares what you do? You're not over here. But I think that, we need to stop dropping bombs everywhere. I've lived that, and I've got buddies that are so torn up by that. And those guys in that motorcycle club, they're going to have repercussions, mental repercussions behind all of that stuff that's going on. The whole countryside is going to be mentally screwed up. You're a Marine.
Yeah.
I mean,
Did you say word?
Marines are the part-time military.
I think you said word. First of all,
part-time military. I mean,
there's no such thing as a former Marine or an ex-Marine.
You're the mediator. You're both under the Department of the Navy. But from what I understand, just like in Walmart, there's a men's department.
There you go. Thank you.
And which the Navy is.
No, that would be the Marine Corps.
The Navy is the men's department.
No.
There is a reason.
The Navy are the Uber drivers for the Marine Corps. That's what they are.
Damn! Shots fired. We're trying to stop a war, and then we're starting one.
Yeah, exactly.
But there is a reason the Marine Corps is entrusted to protect the President of the United States.
Ooh, wait a minute.
I'm completely neutral. Respect both these men greatly.
Actually,
but
the Secret Service is charged with protecting the president. They got away from the Marine Corps and Wells Fargo.
Wells Fargo.
When you see the president of the United States getting on or off Air Force One, it's Marines standing to the left and the right.
Not a Marine standing down there.
Wait a minute. But look, I'll give you one better. On a naval vessel, on any naval vessel, the highest ranking individual, unless there's an admiral catching a ride somewhere, the highest ranking individual on that naval vessel is the captain of that ship. The captain has something called a MARDET, M-A-R-D-E-T.
Okay, he's got a couple Marines that walk around. Keep him from getting thrown up. That's because his Navy crew is sick of his ass.
That's a Marine detachment. So the captain, the naval captain, who is the head of the naval vessel, has Marines as his personal security.
Yeah,
everywhere on the boat.
That's because the sailors are liable to kill haul his ass for.
Yeah, because from what I understand,
the captain has to have the best, so he gets Marines to do his security because because
his whole cruise. From what I understand, everybody I've ever met in the Navy like to drink heavily. So they have to have the Marines there, otherwise they're gonna throw his ass overboard.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you know what?
But I will tell you this part I did not like. Whenever we were, so I was a submarine sailor. So when we come to the tenders had the nuclear weapons on them, and they would have the Marine detachment on these tenders. And whenever we would go overseas to Spain or wherever, Glasgow, all these places, Holyloch, Scotland, there was always a detachment of Marines, and there's women on the tenders. And the Marines are the cats that got the damn women. And that used to torqued me because they had the little blood red stripe down their little blue uniforms. I always liked the Marine Corps uniform. It was really sharp.
That's right. Hey, you know what?
But
There's a
one
big
thing,
naval
when the
base.
submarine sailors pulled in,
Look,
that's when the women, hey, come on now.
hey, look, the submariners do a little something. I'll tell you this real quick. There's a place called Norfolk, Virginia. Big naval, lots of naval installations.
Largest Navy base in the world, yes.
Largest in the world. And whenever I would talk to my Navy buddies, they would all say, "Oh, where you going? We're getting deployed to Norfolk." I said, "You mean Norfolk?" And he said, "No, Norfolk." I'm like, "Why are you calling that?" Because Marines are coming with us, and that means we ain't getting none. So it's Norfolk, Virginia, because the Marines are there.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that.
Well, fellas, I'll tell you what, to keep us from starting a whole other war between the Marines and the Navy and that, we'll move on to something super important for those of us here that's pounding the ground and doing these miles on these motorcycles. And we are blessed, greatly blessed tonight for those of us in North America, United States, Canada, overseas, and wherever else, wherever you are. Matter of fact, I'll read this, the description that I wrote for this show tonight. Because if I try to do it off the top of my head, I'm probably going to screw it up. But so here's the thing. So my grandmother used to say that everything that is going on in the world has already been discussed in the Bible. Well, if the current state of the war between Israel and Hamas is any indication, then she was absolutely right. One of tonight's guests has something to say about this, so we're going to talk about it in a little bit. Part 2 of tonight's show is something that anybody that rides a bike, drives a car, or pretty much ever leaves their friggin' house should hear about. It's called a golden hour, and this is something that you don't want to miss. And that's why Slider Gilmore, Slider, 1%er from SOS, is here with us tonight to kind of help us out about that. So Slider Gilmore, again, brother, welcome to the show. And I know all of us have some questions for us, but to begin, now I know in MC circles, everybody and their mother knows who you are already, but can you tell us a little bit about yourself, brother?
Yeah, well, I'm a farmer from Iowa. I've been a motorcyclist my entire adult life. I love the lifestyle. I love all kinds of motorcycle people. I love all kinds of motorcycles. Something, as you all understand, that just gets in your blood and stays there. Quite some time ago, when I was, it was about probably in November, I come across a terrible crash, and it was two semis that hit head on together. I was the second person on scene. The one person that was already there, I asked him why wasn't he doing something, and he said he didn't know what to do. Well, I didn't either. I checked the first person in the first semi. He was outside of it. He was up next to a fence in the cornfield, and he was obviously dead. The other semi that was on its side, there was a hole tore in the opposite side that was up. And I said, I told another person to go call for an ambulance, and I crawled inside that truck down to a person, the other truck driver, that I could hear moaning in there. And I got down to him, and he was injured very severely. I didn't know what to do at all. I had no idea what to do. And I just kept telling him the ambulance is coming, and I held his hand and held his head in my lap and kept telling him the ambulance was coming. But before the ambulance arrived, he passed away. He died there. And when I crawled up out of that semi and crawled out of that hole in the side of the door, which was up in the air, I crawled up to get out the side door. I said to myself, I am never again in my life going to not know what to do. I am going to get myself educated. And that's how this program started. It got to a place where I went and took and received my EMT license, and then advanced the EMTI intermediate. And I wanted someone to come in and teach our ambulance people how to handle motorcycle crashes There wasn't anybody in the country doing that. And I grabbed a couple of my friends and said, well, we'll just do it ourselves. And that mushroomed out. This program we started back then has been in use for 40 years. It's been replicated across the country and in several different foreign countries. It's been just a very real positive thing, educating pre-hospital care people. When we were first starting doing that, a gal that was teaching with me said, why don't you teach the motorcycle people what to do? They're always first on scene. And that's how accident scene management started.
So how did it get called, or why do you guys call it the golden hour?
There was a doctor.
Then what is it also?
And some people refute this because some people say it's way more than an hour or whatever, but nonetheless, why we all can definitely understand that what's done immediately many times can make the difference between life or death. That's what the golden hour is. So the main things you do just at the very, very beginning is going to be more important than what you do an hour later.
Gotcha. So
hey, Bone, so the golden hour is also used in every, just about every place in emergency medicine on the battlefield and everything. There's the idea that Slider is saying that I used to be in search and rescue myself, and the idea is that if you can get someone to a hospital within that hour, that so-called golden hour, and you've done these preparation things, they stand like a 95% better chance of survival than if you don't do those things.
Absolutely. You hit the nail right on the head. And when you say we can use this in many different aspects, I just deal with motorcycle crashes. I have it pinpointed down to that. But what we teach, or what I teach this, can be replicated to any kind of trauma, injury, and a lot of medical emergencies also. What you do first, what you do second. So when people go out of these classes, they have used this in many other different hunting accident in the field, a paint fire. I have got so many letters. Very rewarding to have saved people's lives.
Well, what would be? Let me give you a scenario. You're, for some ungodly reason, you're driving in your car, and in the opposite lane of traffic, you see an accident. You see a couple of motorcycles are down. One guy's standing up, one guy's laying down. What did you do first?
Okay, that's a good question, but let's talk a little bit first before we go on, because this will set the stage for what we're going to talk about. Okay. And why is it so important for motorcycle people to know? And how everybody knows it's dangerous, but how dangerous is it? How many more times likely are you to be killed on your motorcycle as you would be driving the same miles in your car? Anybody got a guess?
You're saying what's the percentage?
No, how many more times likely are you be killed on your motorcycle than you would be killed in your car?
I'd say 10. I'd say 10 times. If I'm to guess,
I'd say 100. Hell, I'd say 100 times.
Well, I mean, I'm in the villages, so about 500 times more likely.
Dennis, what's your number? Dennis,
yeah, I think it's way more than 10.
Yeah, you're
unfortunately.
You're 27 times more likely to be killed on your motorcycle than you are in your car.
I believe it.
So important for us to know what to do. So what do you do first? What do you do second? People don't really think about this too much, but we need to put this in our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is about 98% of our thinking capability, and only 2 or 3% on our conscious mind. So we need to put into our subconscious mind what we're going to do. And the first thing is remain calm and think. And you might say, well, everybody knows that. Why do we even have to talk about that? But it's so important, because people, even seasoned paramedics, with some of the things that they see, is very hard on you psychologically, and you need to keep it together. So the first thing you do is remain calm and think back of what this the class is about 2.5, 3 hours long. We just have time to touch on just a few things. We need to think about single vehicle crashes with motorcycles. 90% of those crashes are our fault. And you think about ABATEs across the country and putting on the programs that they are to teach us to ride. I've been riding 61 years this year, and I try to take a motorcycle rider's course, an advanced one every year from ABATE.
Wait a second. Did you say you've been riding motorcycles for 61 years?
That's correct. I didn't start riding till I was 19, though.
That's long. That's longer than Dennis has been straight.
Here we go.
Anything's longer than that.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been lucky. I've got to meet so many cool people, and I've got to help people understand and make a difference in motorcycle crashes. It's just so important that we're all egotists in our own way, and there's nothing wrong with being an egotist as long as it doesn't go too far. We all have to have positive attitudes and think we can do things. But one thing that hurts our ego is going to a riding class and finding out in front of a whole bunch of other people that we're not as good a riders as we think we are. That sound familiar?
Yeah.
Anyway, when 90% and those 90% of single vehicle crashes are curves and intersections.
Okay.
So that's where that starts. The multi-vehicle crashes, it's about 60% our fault. And we need to sometimes we think it's little blue-haired old ladies and all that, but when it comes right down to it, the majority of the crashes, not all, of course, but a large amount, larger than we think, are our own fault. So it's up to us to teach ourselves and go to the classes that ABATE and other places put on. So I'm a very strong proponent of that. But
so Slider, you're in Iowa, right?
That's correct.
Do y'all have a helmet law?
No, we do not have a helmet law. We're one of the 3 states that do not.
So I don't know how it is in Iowa, but I feel that, let me see how I want to word this. I feel that in the state of Florida, anytime a motorcyclist is killed, the first thing that is posted in the news article is whether or not he had a helmet on or not. I feel they're automatically saying, oh, well, he didn't have a helmet on, it's his fault.
You're 100% right. Mm-hmm. They do that all over the country.
And I think the thing about that is that if you and when we went through all of these laws that they were trying to pass, some of which they did get passed in regard to insurance. So Florida, the way it works as far as the helmet is concerned, ABATE played the hugest role in getting the helmet law the way it is now passed. And so you don't have to wear a helmet in Florida if you are at least 21 years of age and have $10,000 of insurance, a minimum of $10,000 insurance. And it doesn't have to be motorcycle insurance. It can be health insurance from friggin' Humana or whomever.
Yeah, it's just got to be health insurance.
Right, it's just got to be some type of health insurance. The thing is, though, is that they wanted to pass this law, and in fact, they kind of did. The wording was changed, but basically it says this: God forbid you get in an accident, get hit by a drunk driver. The witness says it was the drunk guy's fault, and the police say it's the drunk guy's fault, and the drunk guy says it's the drunk guy's fault. The insurance company is going to go, well, hey, did you have a helmet? Let's say you broke your big toe, your hip, and your thigh bone, which has nothing to do with your helmet. Well, you didn't have on a helmet, so clearly you're an unsafe rider. So therefore, we're not going to pay out on this claim because it's contributory. You made it happen because you're obviously unsafe because you didn't wear a helmet. So that's a bunch of BS. But you guys are right in the sense that they try to paint everybody with the same broad stroke brush because you did or did not wear a helmet, which has nothing to do with what actually happened to make an accident happen. But yeah, that's just my little.
What do you mean you got run over from behind and it's not your fault because you didn't have a helmet on? Come
Well,
on, man.
in the state
We're
of-
in
in the state of
Georgia.
Florida.
This is a helmet state.
Yeah.
Well,
this-
hey,
this is
COVID,
Florida.
people were getting their heads blown off and they were saying it was COVID's fault. I mean, Florida is a very fucked up state.
Yeah, we got issues. We got
But
issues here.
I wanna make sure that slider doesn't get thrown too far off this golden hour, because the golden hour, what you do in the golden hour is very important. And so, Slider, if you wouldn't mind.
I understand.
Number two.
Our government has their fingers in 10 times more than they should. Our forefathers would turn over in their graves if they seen how strong our governments are now. I believe we're adults and we're men and women, and we can make up our own decisions on whether we want to wear a helmet or not. Some cases help, some cases it doesn't. Head injuries actually have two injuries. One is the skull injury and the other is the brain injury. My first autopsy that I went to, I held a young lady's brain in my hand. It's about like jello, you know. So even if you have a helmet on, a traumatic brain injury can occur by throwing the jelly-like brain into the prominence of the inside of the skull.
Yes.
Which is not smooth like the outside of the skull. But, you know,
Slider, 1 second, Slider. Yet a phone call. Looks like it's a Jazz Black man from Arizona giving a call. Jazz, is that you on the phone?
Yeah, that's me, Bone. What's up? Hey guys, how's everybody doing?
Good.
I want to help. Slider, there's one more. That's the neck injury. You got the skull, brain, and neck. And the helmet affects those three places. I don't know what the percentage of impacts are. I can't wear a full face helmet because I have a cervical fusion in my neck. But if you move my head, my neck will, it's what they call it, it's a traumatic. If I'm in a motorcycle accident, the number one thing you can't do is move my head because of the work that's been done on my spine.
A 3-pound helmet, about 6.
Think is the most important. He said, "Right, was the first thing you do. Calm down, think.
Okay.
What are the most extreme possibilities?" I read an article somewhere, and you were in it. That's how I remember who you are. When you said about the thing you started in Iowa, dealing with motorcycle accidents. Bone knows that I've been a road captain for a long time. So I'm usually noticing traumatic. I also drive a truck. I'm always on the highway. And I'm seeing a lot of crazy shit.
All right. Well, hey.
61 years?
Yeah. Y'all about the same.
Yes, a 3-pound helmet weighs about 150 pounds at 60 miles an hour in the crash. So, a helmet when I talk to people, I tell you consider every single motorcycle crash a cervical injury until proven otherwise. And I think that that's probably a good idea for about all trauma.
Right on. So if remaining calm is the number one rule, or the first thing you do is to remain calm and think. What's the next thing you're going to do?
Okay, let's think about the injuries there, and we're not. I don't talk about first aid, and if somebody's got some road rash or something like that, I'm going to consider these traumatic injuries very top notch. That's what we need to worry about. And what would you think if we could get a person to not a hospital, but a level 1 trauma center with a severely injured person a half an hour earlier? Do you think that could save a life?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How about 15 minutes early? How about 5 minutes quicker?
Sure.
Some cases. So you see, time is so important. What are we going to do for a head injury in the field? How do we tell whether the person's getting better or worse? Those type of things and traumatic injuries, and that's what we're going to treat most motorcycle Time is of the essence. So we need to get 911 called immediately. I've seen time and time again where people wait for 5-10 minutes. We can always 1022 that ambulance. We can turn it, send back, but we need to get that help on the way, because many internal injuries along with head injuries, we're not going to do very much in the field. That's time is of the essence. So we really need to get these people moving. The main first thing that we can do when a person is down in the field is stop blood loss. Blood loss is the number one traumatic injury that we can really make a difference in. So stopping that blood loss is really, really important. Whether the person is going into shock is really super important. And how do you tell whether the person is going into shock or staying the same or even getting better? Every ambulance, I think probably the military uses this same, but they use March. It's a little bit different acronym. But if we take a look about how we tell whether that person is getting better or worse, we need to get a baseline for that person that's down. And how do we do that? We ask 4 questions. It's called alert and orientated times 4. And those 4 questions are what the ambulance people all over the United States and other foreign countries use. And those 4 questions that we as lay people should ask to get the baseline is very important. Those 4 questions are: who are you? Where are you? What time and day is it? And can you tell me what happened? If they can't tell you what happened, why, you can be about positive that they have a concussion, some kind of problems like that. But if they can answer all 4 questions, you know they're alert and orientated times 4. In another 5 minutes, you ask the same questions again. But what if when you ask them who they are, they know what they are? When you ask them where they are, they can't tell you. When they ask what time and date is, they can tell you. And they can tell you what happened. See, you got 3 of the 4 questions are answered, but one of the questions isn't. What's happening to this person? So you got a baseline. That person, everybody that's dying now, everybody that's ever died, everybody that will die in the future dies of one thing, and that's shock. And sometimes when shock gets too far, it's irreversible. But when you know, and they only answer 3 of the 4 questions, we know that person is what? Going at least toward shock. So you see how important just those questions are?
Right. Understood.
Mm-hmm.
So after you determine that they are or are not in shock, well, I guess from a triage standpoint, you mentioned bleeding earlier. So you're going to stop the bleeding, and that depends on where the bleeding is coming from, I imagine, right?
Yeah. So you use direct pressure or you lift it. There's a certain, things, and you should take first aid courses, of course, but you want to stop or slow the bleeding as best you can. And most of the time it's with direct pressure.
Yes. That's what we really push is the direct pressure. Tourniquets were out of fashion at one time. That they're back in now. Tourniquets are so important, and learning how to use them is so important. The government has this program called Stop the Bleed, and I've taken that. I could be an instructor on that, but I chose not to. But everybody should have that come in to teach, especially their COCs. We can hit a lot of people and have that course taught. But the direct pressure, stopping the bleed, and Stop the Bleed has a special packet to come up. So really, if you can't do anything for head injuries, internal injuries, but most people died, like Sandy Hook, the children that were killed there, all of those died from blood loss. So it's so important. We as lay people should carry the Stop the Bleed packet that they put out. I think they're $80, but at least we should have one in every pack.
Yeah, we keep
also tourniquets in there. So we should put our money where we can really use it, and that's stopping blood loss. Okay, if we're talking about the 4 questions, who are you, where are you, what time and day is it, can you tell me what happened? Okay, how can we tell and we can see a person bleeding out. Can we tell if that person is possibly bleeding, have an internal bleed as lay people?
I think there's a way to do it, but how is it? It's discoloration and pain, isn't it?
When we just talked about who are you, where are you, what time of day is it? Can you tell me what happened? And if they start going downhill, you can't see anything else. At least that's an alert for an internal bleed, isn't it? And you see, that is not a difficult thing to ask. But that who are you, where are you, what time of day is it, and can you tell me what happened, can help you with so many things, and you've set that baseline for the pre-hospital care that people will arrive. You've got a baseline.
We're getting some feedback from a few folks here, and in fact, just looking at it, Amber, which Amber's from ABAID as well. She said, "I'm a first responder." Here we are. Hold on. Amber says, "I'm a first responder. Remain calm. Think. Assess the situation and surroundings. Try to ask them questions while starting to work on the patient." So I guess you're talking to them while you're working on them, provided that they can respond to you.
Sure, and those are the questions you ask. Tonight, we don't have time to cover everything in detail, of course.
Sure.
But I'm just touching on the top thing, and she is definitely right.
You know, I would like to add when I was doing this search and rescue and that type of thing, when I would come upon a person, I want to get them talking to me as much as possible. Do you know where you are? How old are you? Where are you from? What time of day is it? Who's the president? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm assessing everything, making those assessments as I'm doing stuff like, triaging them or whatever the case may be. But one thing I want to point out is that if you run across somebody and you have folks around, one of the most important things to do is you have to assign someone to call an ambulance. If you say something like call the police, or you say something like call an ambulance, it's just almost not going to get done because everybody standing around thinks that the other person's going to do it. So you need to look at somebody and say, you call an ambulance, and then you hold them accountable. Did you call the ambulance? So that's something that a lot of folks, I learned that, 30 years ago when I was doing this, and it was very important back then. I yield.
Yes. I teach to delegate, and you don't ask somebody. You're exactly right to call. I usually ask two people to do it. But you say call an ambulance, and people will not take charge. You have to delegate all of these things. And in that 3-hour course, why we go through all that in quite the detail. You think a lot of times you talked about triage and how do you handle that? And if somebody's my age and then we got a younger person, sometimes that's really, really hard. But we think about trauma codes, and that's when a person has been injured, not a medical emergency, but they've been injured and they stop breathing and they their heart stops. That's quite a situation. And we think, oh boy, but we've learned CPR, we can change that. Well, people don't really understand in a trauma code like that how many people do you think you save out of 100 in a trauma code?
Wow.
Yeah,
well, my numbers have been off all night.
Okay,
Dennis, what's the number? What's the answer, Dennis?
I couldn't tell you that one either, Bone.
In a trauma code, you only save one person out of 200.
Wow.
So you need to, and it's actually, it's not 0.5%. The last figures I heard was 0.4%. So that's something to think about. And if it's just you there, why you have to triage yourself. So thinking about saving it, I'm not against doing CPR on a trauma code, but we have to understand that if we don't have enough people and there's more than one person hurt, that should make a difference on what our judgment is.
In the Marine Corps, they used to teach us the ABCs. The ABCs was airway.
You guys don't know how to read.
Well,
Damn.
so, as a Marine and as an American, I'm talking about saving lives, but,
Mhm.
so, the ABCs,
I'm sorry about that one.
I know, like airway. So first of all, check the airway. B is bleeding, as in stop the bleeding, and C was consciousness, as in determine how conscious they are or are not.
Yeah,
But
the American Heart Association teach A, airway, B, breathing, C, circulation, and I teach ABCC. The second C, I consider cervical injuries.
That's something a lot of folks don't think
the
about.
most important, you got to put people in traction that you don't know, that you have a question about. At least that.
Yeah, not traction, stabilization.
Stabilization. Thank you.
Man, outstanding. Well, this is good information. I think anybody who was listening tonight, because I think what will happen is, unfortunately, too many of us have seen these sort of horrific accidents. And if you've ever seen one of those situations and you needed to do something, as in, especially if you were involved in it or very near it, the worst feeling in the world could possibly be you want to help but don't know how. So if you were paying attention tonight, or if you came in late, go back to the beginning, watch this show from the beginning. And I think you're going to pick up a few things that'll kind of fine tune it a little bit. Also, we're going to make sure that we provide some information so that folks can figure out how to get more from Slider about this extremely important subject of the golden hour, because we've all, unfortunately, lost brothers and sisters out here on these highways or wherever we were on these motorcycles. If anybody needs to know about this stuff, it's us. It's
Big Bone. Could I add just one more?
Yeah, please do.
The alert and orientated times 4, and if I'm talking about when the person is conscious. What if they cannot answer? What if they are unconscious? And we always want to make sure that we get pulse and respiration then. But for the lay people, it's hard right now if we tried to get each other's pulse, and we're not really used to doing it. It's a pretty hard thing. So in the first aid kit I talk about, or the stop the bleed kit, I always like to have a pulse oximeter in there, and you can get them at Walmart or any of the stores. I don't think I can help Walmart, but like that. And the pulse oximeter is just something that you clip right onto the end of the finger, and that will give you pulse, and it also will give you oxygen saturation to your blood.
But
so
you can also put your watch around their wrist, because just about all of our watches have it, and my phone has it. It has a pulsometer right here on the phone, and you just stick the phone sensor right on their arm or right on their finger, and it works the same way as the $79 pulsometer.
So what are we looking for, though? We're looking for.
That's really important to get that baseline, and to have some instrument rather than doing it manually yourself, because the average lay person is not going to do a good job with that. But if you have a pulse oximeter, a phone, whatever, a watch, whatever, we need that with us all the time. I'm a big proponent to that. Excuse me. Go ahead, Bone.
No. I was just saying, so once you determine what their pulse is, or what are we looking for? Are we looking for to know exactly what their pulse is? Or are we trying to determine if it's too low or too high? And are we just gathering information to report?
Here is exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for the speed. So we're looking whether it goes up or down. We as lay people don't really have to understand that to any degree. But what we can do is get a set whether it's going up or down. When the heart's trying to make a difference right now in low blood loss, the heart's just going to beat faster. So as the person starts to go into shock, the heart's going to beat faster and trying to compensate to get the red blood cells that are oxygen carrying around to the body, especially to the brain. But then when it cannot keep up, then it's going to drop. So that's so important to get that and get that written down every time. So we want pulse, and we want respiration. How often is that person breathing a minute? If it's 16 times when you check it the first time and the pulse is 72, and you check it again and it's you're breathing 20 times a minute and pulse is up to 82, what's happening? It's trying to compensate, isn't it? But pretty soon it's going to go the other way.
Okay.
So what we're really doing is getting a baseline to know which way it's going for the layperson. I'm not talking about the professionals that get on but if we have that baseline down and we get that good, and what if they only can answer 3 of the 4 questions and we got pulse and respiration that went up and then went down? They're going to load and go. They aren't going to stay and play and do that. You've already got the baseline and you have it triaged, and those people, you might have saved 10, 15, 20 minutes by having that information that any lay person can do, as long as you know what to do. So that's why these classes are so important, so we can learn, because when we're 27 times more likely to be killed on our motorcycle as we are in a car, think of how many more times likely we're apt to be injured and save a life or limb knowing these things. Time is of the essence. That's what really the lay person is talking about in a severely traumatized patient. And sometimes when we were talking tonight earlier, Bone, there was a bike versus semi, and that person was killed. They had the bike covered up with the blanket and the person covered up with the blanket. Sometimes our injuries are just not conducive to life. And we have to know that too.
Gotcha.
I could attest to that. I had a gentleman, a close personal friend of mine, that was also in the Elks Riders with me. We went to a benefit, actually, as first responders event, oddly enough. He left a little bit early from that to go see his wife, and unfortunately he didn't make one of the turns, and he was actually wearing a helmet. And unfortunately, in that accident where he got off the lip of the road, the bike lifted him up, bucked him, and the helmet came off. I don't know whether it was a faulty chin strap or if he didn't have it tight enough. I don't know. But unfortunately, he hit his head on that guardrail. But a lot of people stopped. A lot of doctors and nurses saw the accident, and thank God for that, because they kept him alive. The ambulance got him to the hospital well within an hour and did brain surgery on him. And I visited him a week later and talked to him. He couldn't speak yet, but squeezed his hand, he squeezed it back, he made some motions, and unfortunately a few weeks after that he ended up having a stroke and then died later on, just this February in hospice. But I believe wholeheartedly in exactly what you're saying, with people having to know what to do, and that's actually what saved his life. Unfortunately, it was too bad to keep him going, but God bless you, Danny Rains, and thank you for what you're doing there. I appreciate that.
Thank you for the nice word. A couple other things that I would like to mention, and one is the word ample. And we will have ample time to ask these questions before the ambulance arrives. And A, it's an acronym. A is for, are they allergic to anything? M, that's your past medical history. You know, what medications are they taking? Like say, well, I'm taking metformin. Well, we know the person is diabetic then. But getting that written down, we want somebody writing all this stuff down when we ask, especially the alert and orientated ×4 and the pulse and respiration. If we have this written down to give to the ambulance people when they arrive, this is super important because they'll understand the baseline better. In Apple, P is past medical history. Maybe they've had some cardiac problems or something like that, and you get that written down. L is the last meal that they have eaten and what they had. For example, if they have a large pizza and a pitcher of beer, why we know we possibility have airway problems. when they regurgitate when they're injured like that, and it will make a difference too when they get into the operating room to know what the last. And E is the events that led up to the accident. Just real easy if they'd been in the bar all day, or if they'd have trouble with their diabetes for the last week.
Absolutely.
So that ample, we'll get that down, and then alert and orientated times 4, and have all this written down. You have a baseline, and you also have a history. And this is not PhD stuff. It's stuff that we all can do without a medical background to establish some of the most important things in that person's life if they're severely injured. You are the most important person at that time in that person's life.
So
Absolutely.
I'm going to repeat that. So if so anybody who missed any of this, you can rewind it, go back and watch. But ample is going to be A, allergies. What if anything are they allergic to? M, medicines. Their medicine history. What kind of medications they might be on. P is going to be past medical history. L was the last meal. Like what did they eat? Pizza, what have you. And E, the events that led to the accident that they're having, that they're in. And the biggest thing is to make sure all of that is documented. It needs to be written down. Was that about it? Like, and that's ample, right?
Yes, and alert and orientated times 4. And there's so much more to this. We just have a short amount of time.
Sure.
You sit through the 2.5, 3 hour course or whatever. It's just something I've been so happy for the people that have gotten the help. I had one woman up to Sturgis come running and hug me, and she said, I saved my husband's life 2 weeks after I took your course.
Wow.
And lots of feedback. I've been doing this I've been doing this class for right at 40 years.
Wow.
So it's fine to me. It's too bad we can't change this. And people say, that's what you taught before, but how we take and you Dragon, your background, these are the things you do. Some of this stuff don't change. You can't change these classes, but we really need, and we should take a review every year on this stuff. It's so important.
Gotcha. No, I'll tell you what, I think that now I know, like with myself and my group, we always keep a first aid kit. But now the question, and we had this conversation before, well, sure, we got first aid kit. Who knows how to use the stuff in it?
Well, the answer should be the road captain.
Absolutely.
The road captain should know how to do CPR. I mean, if you're getting down like you should be getting down,
Yeah.
The road captain should know how to do CPR. The road captain should have the first aid kit. The road captain should be certifying the assistant road captains to do that. And it should absolutely be something that the club is aware of and doing. A lot of clubs don't do it, but hey, man, the first time somebody has some sort of an accident and your road captain is on top of that game, you will be very happy that you took the time to certify your road captain.
But
Yeah.
we all should learn it. All of us, every one of us.
Well,
yeah, agreed. Absolutely.
Dragon, I'll double down on that and say it's not. I don't want to say clubs because I can't speak on clubs, but not all organizations have a road captain. Your sergeant at arms should know what the hell he's doing too.
I've learned that in my time. That I remember the first time. I remember the first time I got jumped on by a 1%er who screamed at me, "We don't have road captains!" And I was looking at him like, "What the hell? Who doesn't have a road captain?" But yeah, I've learned since doing this show a few years ago that not everybody has road captains. So I find that very interesting. But you are absolutely right. And
A proper club will have one. A proper club is going to have a road captain. And the thing
As
about
long as
being
it's
a road
not
captain,
Bone,
no,
you'll get fucking lost and be
I don't
4
want- I
hours
don't
late.
want
He
that
can't even
job.
show up to his house on time.
hey. Where's that button? The mute button for this guy here. But anyway, I was going to say though, but I think everybody, if you're riding with, everybody should have either, if they're not carrying a doggone first aid kit, especially with things like tourniquets, band-aids, believe it or not, I think somebody said it earlier, tampons. Tampons are great for bullet or for stopping the bleeding, certain type of injuries.
Allegedly.
You know, a tampon is great for certain type of injuries. But
they do stop blood.
They do stop blood, and they're excellent size. That circular size can
The stop the bleed. The stop the bleed that I think everybody should have. That stop the bleed kit. It also has the blood coagulant in there that you pour in a wound, because you that wound up, you stuff it. That open wound, but if you stuff it with gauze that has the anticoagulant on the gauze, that's really important for stopping the bleed. So a first aid kit is good, but most of the stuff, what we need, the life-threatening stuff, will be stop the bleed. Because and I'm not against first aid, don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, sure.
But a lot of that stuff is not really important,
Right. You're talking about a traumatic injury that regular first aid kit from Walmart isn't going to get it.
No, definitely not.
Gotcha.
Well,
But
Slider,
the stop the bleed one is important.
a question.
We got a question for you, Slider.
So I've seen it pop up in the chat a couple times, and I'm kind of interested myself. How does one get involved with this class?
You can get a hold of NCOM. You can get a hold of ABATE of Iowa would be a good place to get a hold of. Put me in touch with you. So if you got a hold of ABATE of Iowa or NCOM or any Sons, Silence will have my number.
Gotcha.
I don't feel like giving it out over the air.
Oh no! I wouldn't expect you to. Hey, actually, my NCOM rep is on here right now. How about you get that taken care of? I'll shoot you a text at about 6 o'clock in the morning so you remember, even though you won't see it till noon.
That's all right. As a matter of fact, it just so happens there's one of the sons are on our board. We speak all the time, so I'll get at him and make sure that. Well, I know how to get a hold of you as well. Yes. But speaking of it,
and I'll be happy. I'll travel. I am because of my age, I am retired now. I love to travel. I love to help people. There's a cost to it, of course, and we can talk about that. I hate that, but boy, it got to where I was taking everything out of my pocket. And
don't hate it. It's 2024, and things cost a lot more than they used to. But speaking of income, if your organization or your club is not involved in income, fix that. Get involved with income, because there's a ton of good information. There's networking like you don't even understand how important it is. Income's coming up here. The next income convention, I should say, is coming up. I was just looking at it.
Mother's Day weekend.
It's Mother's Day weekend. It starts actually on Thursday, May the 9th, and goes all the way through Sunday, May the 12th. And there's still time enough. It's going to be in Kansas City this year, and it's still time enough to get involved with. It's still time enough to get involved and get tickets to go to Income.
I'm speaking at that conference, so anybody that's listening here, be sure and come up and say hi and introduce yourself.
Right on. And they're going to pick your brain too. Speaking of which, if anybody has any calls before we wrap up, the phone number to call in is 310-870-8994. If you want to call in and ask Slider or anybody else any questions, please feel more than welcome to do so. And along with that, I wanted to, let me see. So the phone number, told you about Income. And also I wanted to tell you, so Dennis, aka Kickstand, is on here. This guy, he's an ABATE rep. I think are you a delegate as well for ABATE? I'm supposed to know this. So you're a delegate for the Pasco County for the BoneYard chapter. You are the secretary of that chapter right now, but you're also in contention for, not contention, but you're actually a candidate for president of the chapter right now too. Is that not correct?
That's correct. Really looking forward to that.
Okay. Now, do you feel that because you're incredibly unattractive, that's going to hold you back from securing that position? I mean, the whole ugly thing, is that going to be?
Somehow I knew that was coming, but that's not the same thing Miami says about me.
Oh shit. That's okay. Sometimes I feel like Miami loves me more.
All right. I'll tell you what, sir. I'm gonna be leaving you the hell alone. I'm a big fan of yours. I'm a big fan of yours. I respect you immensely.
Well, Dennis, I got a little bit of advice for you. Go get some Rogaine because
Oh boy,
this is what you'll look like after becoming a chapter president.
yeah.
That shit's running away.
I've heard
It
that.
will pull your fucking hair out.
And you'll go gray.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You'll get some gray there.
That explains why I've never seen you without a hat on.
Fucking man.
Hey, I'll tell you what, fellas, this has been just a fantastic time. And but I guess in wrapping it up, maybe we could take a minute to hear from everybody that's here. So Dennis, I started teasing you, but I really want to thank you for taking some time out of your life to join us tonight. And we wish you all the best luck in everything that you're doing in regard to your bid for president for the BoneYard chapter, and also you are the president for the Elks Riders right now. So
Yeah.
Congratulations and best of luck on everything that you're doing. What, if anything, did you want to share with the folks that are watching us tonight?
I really appreciate the show and all this stuff about the first responders and people knowing what to do. It really makes a difference. And I appreciate being on the show with you guys. And this is some great information that's going out. I really appreciate that.
Hey, aren't you having a party in like 2 months? Little over a month?
Yeah, we're actually the Elks, where our Elks Riders are out of, is hosting the Abate State meeting June 8th. Also on that same date after the meetings, probably starting about 6 o'clock, we're going to have an after party that's open to the public. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I want the word out there. We want to make this big. It's going to be a good time.
A kick-ass band, the whole thing.
Let's
Yeah.
see if we can throw a better party than Lake County. I mean,
I
we are the party chapter.
Well, we'll see. Well, when is your party, Tate?
Our state meeting is in October.
And nobody's
I
coming.
know August. We're in
no,
August because we'll be in Pensacola in October.
Nobody's coming. Everybody's going to the
coming.
BoneYard party.
Bullshit. Listen, we're gonna throw a big ass party. We're gonna put the BoneYard out of business.
Look, if only your members came, it would be a big ass party. Right?
And that's true.
I'm fucking telling you, listen, your party's only gonna be big because of my members.
You know what? I'm feeling the hostility tonight. Anyway.
But hey, if anybody plans on going to Thunder Beach this weekend, hit me up. I might sign autographs. You know how it is.
Right on. So speaking of Tate, Tate is for those of y'all who didn't know, Tate is actually like a few of us. He wears a few different hats. He's the currently the state sergeant at arms for ABATE, but he's also the president of the largest ABATE chapter in the state of Florida, which is Lake County. And they've been doing the damn thing. They've got over 300 members, 300 members strong, and they do the damn thing. I'm still a little prejudiced. I'm pretty sure that the BoneYard chapter, is going to have a better party, but that's just me. But
I think the BoneYard chapter's party's gonna kick ass, but it's only gonna kick ass because Lake County's gonna be there.
Right on. So, what, if anything, did you want to tell the folks watching tonight, brother?
Oh, definitely appreciate everything from everybody. If anybody wants to get in touch with their local ABATE, no matter what state it's in, get at me. I can get you hooked up with the right person. Support your local club, support your local ABATE chapter. We can't do this and we can't change laws unless there's people on fucking motorcycles. We need to be safe just like everybody else. They want their cars to be safe. Hell, I watched an accident 2 weekends ago. The woman was pissed off because she fucked her bumper up. A club member died, and she was pissed off because she fucked her bumper up. Took everything I could not to fucking slap the shit out of her. Anyways, but
what's your number?
Mine?
What's your number?
My
people
number?
can get a hold of you. Yeah.
Get at me on Facebook. I don't give my number out publicly. But I'll give you my number, Dragon. Wait.
Well, I mean, you said get in touch with you. So how can we get in touch with you?
Yeah. Get in touch with me on Facebook. Get a hold of Bone. Get a hold of any of these guys. They can all get a hold of me.
If you go to the
only one that can't.
The big BoneYard chat room, or not the chat room, but the doggone the Facebook group.
Yeah.
I'm in there. Posting, in fact, Dennis, if you post that flyer, I think I already did, but if I didn't, make sure you post the flyer for June 8th for the state meeting. We'll post the flyer there. Even if you're out of town or out of state, feel more than welcome to come down. It will be worth the trip. On with that, Dragon, brother, again, thank you for taking some time out of your life to come and join us and chop it up a little bit tonight. What, if anything, do you have to say other than make sure you hit the like and subscribe and share button? You know, we definitely appreciate it. The algorithm will love you for it. But Dragon, what, if anything, you got to say to these nice folks?
Well, first of all, I appreciate you having me on the show, Bone. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you and love you.
Right on, brother.
It's good being on the forum with all you guys. It's just really cool. I want to say that the golden hour that happens with a motorcycle wreck, that golden hour, the things you do within that hour are going to directly be proportional to whether or not a person survives an accident, especially one of your club brothers. Like you said, a motorcycle is 27 times more likely to have a motorcycle, more likely to have injuries and more likely to have a motorcycle wreck than a car. And once you're in that situation, or you have a club brother that's in that situation, or you run up on that situation, it's a biker, the injuries are going to be far more severe, far more life-threatening, and far more challenging. So the more you know and the more that you're able to help out, the better off you are, that you give your brother or your brother biker a better chance of survival. So take a first aid kit. Folks like Slider teach those first aid kits. I was very involved in first aid, search and rescue, and all of that as a young person, all the way going up until I joined the military. So take a first aid kit, take a first aid course, take a CPR course, take any of those kinds of courses. They're available. 6-7 hours out of a day, and you're done, and you have enough information to save some lives. It's one of the most important things you can do. And remember, it's the golden hour. If you can get somebody to a hospital within an hour of their accident, and this is in wartime and everything, they have a greater chance of survival. So how do you get them to that hospital? Stop the bleeding, make sure they can breathe, make sure that they don't go into shock, make sure that they're that you know as much information that you can to pass on to first responders when they get there, and you've done what you can do to help them survive. So the golden hour is very important. Slider, thank you so much for doing that for us, and hopefully we can hear more from you guys about that. Bone will have you guys back on the show. I appreciate all you guys. Thanks a lot. Watch me Monday through Friday, Black Dragon Biker News Network, Biker News you can trust.
And buy the book.
Yep.
Hey, look, I'll tell you what. I don't know why, but I freaking love it when you do that. Every now and then, I'll be walking in the Walmart, and someone say, "Hey, sir, can I help you with something?" I said, "Biker News." You can. Just because it sounds kind of cool. It sounds kind of cool.
Listen, don't let them lie, because you know Bone ain't going to the store.
Yep.
I did go to the store. Like it's back in the 70s.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was on the set and you wanted something to drink, and I went to the store. You weren't leaving anything.
That's because that's where God invented probies.
Whoa.
Yeah, God did that. God made probates. It's in the Bible. It's not,
Big Bone, I would like to thank you also for the honor of being on your show. A thing I would also like to mention is the MRF Motorcycle Riders Foundation. They're teaming up with NCOM now. They're our really only game federally we have, and with right to repair that we're fighting now.
Yes.
End of life to our motorcycles. I can go on and on, but
that's a big one.
To be politically active and doing this stuff. So attend MRF's convention and attend NCOM convention. Be politically active. The ABATE's biggest supporters should be the clubs, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
But again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be on. I hope that this can get the word out a little bit more. And as we mentioned before, I will travel. I'll be honored to do that. And my schedule is pretty full. I think the next 17 weekends, 14 of them are already full. So I'm booked out quite a ways. But I would love to come and help any organization that there is out there. And thanks again for having me. Much appreciated.
Outstanding, brother. And listen, we appreciate it in a huge way. I'm going to speak to the COC and find out if we can put something together to have you come down for either for the COC or ABATE or just folks in general. Because what you do is greatly needed. And you're right. And some of the things you just touched on, like the right to life, we've talked about that here on the show. And basically our idea is sort of like this, is that when it comes to the planned obsolescence of motorcycles, the idea is that, well, eventually you're not going to be able to get a part for your 2010 Harley Davidson, whatever the heck, because
and you can't put it on yourself if you could do it,
because it'll void the warranty and you can't get a part for it. And the idea is to force you to buy a new motorcycle, whether you want or need one or not. And the mom and pop shops, they're squeezing the life out of them.
If we don't stick up for ourselves, nobody else is going to do it. It's up to us.
Yeah. And, that's something that's important. So the COCs, ABATE, and MRF are fighting for not just for motorcycle club members or organizations like ABATE. We're fighting for all motorcyclists. And a lot of the stuff we do doesn't just benefit motorcyclists, but people on the road in general. We've done a lot of that kind of stuff in Florida, fighting as it relates to insurance, for example. It doesn't matter whether you're on your bike or your car. If you're in Florida and you're paying the highest rates for insurance in the entire United States, that's a fight worth having. And we've been doing it for a few years now in Florida. And we're not going to stop until we fix that. But anyway, I digress. Get involved with INCOM. Get involved with your local ABATE chapter. Reach out to myself or Tate if you want to find out, or Dennis if you want to find out more about ABATE. We've got new folks that are joining every day, so it's a lot of people that care. We hope you guys watching are one of them. But even if you're not concerned with that stuff, keep watching this show. And of course, also watch Black Dragon, because there's going to be good information that's going to be coming out from our collective channels that are going to be of a benefit to you. So I want to say thank you to all my guests tonight, man. You guys absolutely rock. So thank you. Dennis, Tate, Black Dragon, Slider, man, brothers, thank you guys for coming on tonight. And hey, guess what? Word on the street is we're going to do this in about 7 days. But in the meantime, thanks for riding through the big BoneYard tonight, and we're going to see y'all in about a week. So here's the cool part when we do this.
If I got to go to his house, it'll be a damn week.
It'll be a week. All right. In that case, hey, peace out. We'll see y'all in 7 days.
Welcome to the big BoneYard. Enter at your own risk.
To pursue a career in law because it gives me an opportunity to help people. When a client chooses us to represent them, they're entrusting us with a huge responsibility. It's our goal to exceed their expectations with our personalized service and to help them to achieve the best possible recovery to compensate them for their injuries.
That's where we come in. We come in and we solve that problem for them and really set them on the right track in order to try and get back to what their life was like before the accident happened.